Hi there, Jamie here today at Teachers Tech. Hope you're having a great day today. Today I want to show you how to host a meeting or teach online with Zoom. This how to use Zoom video tutorial is for the user that's new to hosting on Zoom, or maybe you're teaching your first class on Zoom. So I want to go through the settings that will be most efficient for you to use, show you things like breakout room or scheduling meetings. So let's get started on how to use all these features in Zoom. Everything in this video will be timestamped, so you can look below in the description of this video and then jump around to different parts of the video if you're looking for something specific. Now, first of all, you do need a Zoom account to access Zoom and to start a Zoom, and you can do it in a couple of different ways. Maybe you're part of an organization that has a Zoom account for you and you can be logging in with that email, or you can sign up for free. You can take a look at the plans and pricing here, the free one right here. You can switch over to the monthly build here, so it gives you an idea how much a month it is. So you can sign up for free on it. I'm going to be logging in with my account, and then we'll start talking about some of the settings to maybe change before you even start your Zoom. So I'm going to go ahead and get logged in here, and I'm just going to go up to sign in. So I'm selecting sign in, and if you had your way of email, password, you can do that. What I do is I'm just going to log in through my Google because that's how I have it set up. So I'm clicking on Google and I'm choosing the account that I want to be logged into. So at this point, I could quickly go ahead and start a meeting, host a meeting. I could just go up here and click on here and host a meeting with video off or on. But before you do that, I think settings are really important to understand. How are you going to be presenting? How do you want to have control over the participants in this meeting or class? So where I'm going to go to start with is the settings over on the left-hand side. So I'm just selecting settings because I want to show you some of the options that you have. Now, if you look at this, you can kind of jump down the page by clicking these links here. But some things that you might want to look at, I'm just going to go down here, waiting room. Do you want a waiting room? So this will stop people from coming in. So if you don't want a waiting room, you can go ahead and leave this off. If you want a waiting room, turn it on, but then you have to allow people to come in and notice that they're waiting for you and then let them in. So something to think about there. As you go through, check out some of these settings. I'm not going to talk about all of these, but I am just going to go down a bit further here, and I just want to point out a few other things. So when you schedule a meeting, do you host videos, start videos with host video on? You can see participant videos on or off. You can choose that. I'm going to go down below here, allow participants to join before the host, so you can turn that on and off. Is it okay for them to be there before you get there? So if you're teaching a class, you might not want that, so you can turn that off, and you can tell them how far in ahead do you want participants can join before the start time. Some other things you might want to look at as you go through here, and as I said, I'm not showing everything. Mute all participants when joining a meeting, so all of them will be muted when they come in, and that's kind of a handy thing to turn on because a lot of people don't realize if they're mute or unmuted, and you could force that to happen. So at this point, I'm just going to go down a little bit more. You can see that there's chat. Allow the chat on this one. Do you want private chat? So again, if you have a class, do you want to just keep it to group chat? You can turn off the private chat to allow private chat here. I'm going to continue going down. Is there a co-host on this? So this is important. If the other people are presenting with you and you can give them control, you would need to turn this on. As I continue on, screen sharing. This is a very important one. Are you going to be allowing screen sharing to participants or to host only? So think about how you're setting up. Is there other people going to be needing to share their screen? And take a look at these. As I go down, do you need a whiteboard in there, on or off? Some of these will be defaulted on, but you can check the settings for these. Some other important ones, and I mentioned this at the very beginning, is here. So breakout room. this isn't usually on by default. Do you want to use breakout rooms? Do you want to assign people into individual groups where you'll be able to put them randomly or assign them to different ones? Make sure you turn this on, and you can see you have a couple more settings here. Do you want to allow host to broadcast message to all participants? That's handy when everybody's in the breakout rooms and you can send out that message. So take a look at some of these important settings. Here's virtual backgrounds, on or off. Do you want to be using those before you even start your meeting for the very first time? So the other thing you might want to take a look at right before your first meeting, making sure it's set up, if you go up to profile, this is where you can put your picture in that will show up. And you'll see when I start my video where it would show up. But if I want this changed, if you don't have one in there, you can just go ahead and click on it and then go ahead and hit change on this or delete this and then go ahead and save it. The other thing you'll probably want to change is if you go to edit, and take a look at what the display name will be on. So you can take a look at this and fill different information out for what you want to be displayed when people see your little square, and go ahead and save that afterwards. Now I'm about to start a meeting from this up here with video on, but I do want to point out you can schedule meetings over here. So if I go to meetings, I can go ahead and create a meeting right here. So schedule a meeting. When I select this, I can go through, give it a name, I can add a description, when, duration, time zone, everything like that, the different options. And then when you're done, you can go ahead and save it. And then when you go back to meetings, you'll see all your upcoming Zooms, and you can just hit start from there and it will open it up. Now in today's tutorial, I'm just going to go to host a meeting with video on, and when I do this, this goes ahead and opens up Zoom on my computer. Now if this is the first time you've done this, it will ask you to install Zoom on your computer. It's going to be an app that gets installed. So when I click on this, you'll see that you'll get open in Zoom meetings, open Zoom meetings, and it's connecting here. And it just takes a second. You can see there's my profile picture. And at this point right here, we have join with computer audio, and that's what I would select. And then I have myself on the screen right now. Now you can see, and I just want to point out a couple things here before we get started with me explaining the different parts. This is important down here. If you want to be muted, you can see I can just click it and I would be muted and nobody else could hear me. If I want my camera off, I can click on this and it goes off, and then they would just see this profile picture. So depending on how you want it, you can turn that off and on right away. If you didn't turn breakout rooms on, and I just want to point this out right here, you can see there's breakout rooms right here. If you didn't select it, you won't see this breakout rooms option. And if you go back and change it, you do have to end Zoom and reload it again for it to pop open. So I just want to say those two things. But I want to show you a different way that you can start a meeting, and you can do it right from the app that's installed on your computer too. So I'm going to go ahead and just end this meeting here. And you can see at the very bottom end, or I could just close out and it actually says end meeting at all. If I was just leaving and keeping it open, I would choose that one. But I'm getting rid of this because what I want to show you is I'm going to go down below to here, and you can see Zoom is one of my apps. You could type it in here to search if you're looking for it if it doesn't come up. But I'm going to open up the app. This is the installed app on my computer, and I just wanted to point out that you can do a new meeting right from here, or join a meeting, schedule a meeting, screen share. And then when I go up to the settings, there'll be a few more things I can do. So I just point out, you saw that I was on a beach with the virtual background, and I want to show you where you can change your virtual backgrounds too. So if I click this little gear here, take a look at that background and filters. So if I select this right here, you can see this is the background that I have right now. I could do a blur if I want, or pick a different image. You go through and pick the ones that you want very quickly. And you can see you have some more options, like I have a green screen and different things like that. But these are some more settings that you can take a look at that you can customize here. So if I go to recording, I just want to point out you can record your videos, and this is where they're going to be stored, and you can change this. So if you don't want this to be saved into into this documents/Zoom folder, you could open or change it and give a different one. So take a look at these different settings in here on the app, and remember, you can go ahead and start a meeting at this point here. So I'm just going to just minimize this, and I'm going to go back one spot, and then I'm going to just host a meeting with video on again from here, and open my Zoom meetings, and then it pops up again. So again, either way, I could have done it from my app, and I join with my computer audio here, and I can mute myself like I showed you before. So let's talk about probably the first thing you'll probably want to do is invite people to your class or meeting that you have. I just want to bring your attention to the unmute and stop video, because if this is your first time using this, you could be selecting different audio or mics or speakers in this too. So if I just click the up arrow, you can see you want to make sure that you're choosing the right one. So let's say if I was using my Apple AirPods, and then I could make sure that they would be on the list here, and I could check those off, and then I could be using those. So depending on what you're using, if it's the system setting on your computer, or maybe you're using headphones, make sure you have the right mic and the right speaker selected here, or else it's not going to be working correctly for you. The other thing is, you can see under the stop video, we do have some settings where we can choose our virtual background in here, so a shortcut. So a couple different ways that I've showed you already to get to it. But let's say if you wanted to, or some distraction comes in the back of you, or something happens, you don't want somebody to see it, you can quickly just stop your video, and when the coast is clear, you can start it up again just like that. Again, make sure that you have the correct video. If you have different webcams on, or webcams, or maybe one on your computer, choose the highest quality one, or the one that works best. So I just wanted to point out those two options before I get into all of these. So right before you invite anybody into your Zoom for your meeting or your class, you can go ahead and check your security. So if I click on security, you can see how you can turn things on and off from here, screen share. You can see I now have it unchecked. I can click it again, and now it'll be checked. So you can take a look at those security availabilities there. Now, when we do participants, so if I click participants, you notice that on the side, this comes out. Since this was just kind of a spur of the moment meeting, I haven't invited anybody prior. This is where my invite is. I'm just gonna click on go back to a scheduled meeting, which is underneath. So I'm just gonna go and show you. If I go ahead and schedule a meeting, I just have this called example, hit save. At this point, you can go ahead. Here is the invite link. So I could copy this invitation right here. And so if I was scheduling it, I could tell them what time it's going to be. I could send this prior, this one. So I'd copy and send it through here. Then maybe I could add it to a calendar. And you can see I can add different things to calendars right here. So I just wanted to point that out if you did your meeting prior. So if you do have it scheduled, you could send it out like this, and that the link is already created. If it's a spur of the moment video like this one, then I can invite people right as I go. So I can hit the invite here. And this is where I can invite all these different people if they're part of my group. If I go to email, I could use default email, Gmail, Yahoo. I could copy the video link, the invite link, or the whole invitation, which will have the link in it. So if I go ahead and copy this, and I go to my email, and I'll make an email and put this into a link. So I'm over here in Gmail right here. I could send it to whoever I want it to go to, and I'm just going to put it to a couple of my example other accounts. We could give it a title, and I could just paste that link in, and then when they get it, they can just click on this link, and it's going to open up that meeting for them to join. And depending on your settings, you could have them just coming right into it, or be put in a waiting room. So I'm going to go ahead and send this, and then all I have to do is wait for them to appear right in here. So I had a couple people join me on this Zoom call here. I just have one. I set up my phone in one of the rooms, and no one's here with me tonight, so I was able to find some other participants here. Right away I noticed that when you look at mine right here, see I'm muted. If you take a look down here, they're not. And maybe if you're teaching and dealing with kids, they might forget to mute. If I hover over, I can mute them like this, and then they are muted. So I can go ahead, if there is noise, maybe a person doesn't know how to mute, you can go ahead and do it for them. On the side here, I get to see who's been added. So right here, I can ask to unmute. If they are trying to talk or something like this, I can ask them to unmute. This shows me that with it crossed out that they are muted. It shows me that they have video here. If I click on more, take a look, I can stop video, I can pin would put it to the top or the main one, just like that. So if I was watching somebody, I can pin it. Usually what tends to happen is that the person's talking is showing up. I can remove the pin over here. So, and then I can go ahead and put it back here. So at this point here, the other thing you might want to think about first is maybe starting to record. Down here is the record button. You want to capture this meeting, you want to capture this class. I can go ahead, click record, and you can see it says recording up here where I can pause it or stop it. Now, usually people who are watching get a message saying that this is being recorded. Are you okay with this and everything? So when I'm done this, so if I go ahead and maybe I was done recording, I can stop this part. And what it's telling me, the recorded file will be converted to MP4 when I end the meeting, and then it will be saved in that spot where I showed you in the settings, or if you've changed it from there. Okay, so then the other thing I just want to show you is the view up here. So I could click on view and I can change it back to gallery. I could go full screen like this. So you have a few different views to choose from on this. So I'm just going to exit this. And now the other thing I want to point out right away is the chat. So if I click on the chat, I can go ahead and start typing a message here. So I could say hello, and this goes to everybody's screen. So I'm just hitting enter, hello, they all see this. Now, if I drop down, I could message one of them individually. So if I pick thingy and said hi to them, and hit enter, that's only going to go to them, and you can see that's a direct message. Now remember, in the settings, you can stop this if you don't want this to be happening from the people or the inside this meeting or class too. So something to think about your settings. A lot of times if I need to share files in a Zoom, I'll copy and paste the link right into here and paste it so that everyone gets it. They can click on the link and open it up. But if you take a look here, you can see that you can connect from Dropbox to OneDrive to Google from your computer. So you'll be able to put those files needed right through these parts. And you do have your emojis that you can be adding very quickly to it to kind of indicate how the meeting or the class is going. If you need help with your meeting and maybe or you have a planned co-teacher or someone else coming in to present, you could make them a host or co-host. So if I go up to the more over top of any of these, you can see we have make host or co-host. Maybe you'd have to leave the meeting early. You can make somebody else the host, and then if you leave, it's okay, and the meeting will continue with everybody else. But if there is no other host, then the meeting won't be able to continue. So do remember that. And I wanted to point out you can rename on these two. So in case somebody put an appropriate name, you could go ahead and rename them just by clicking on it and putting a different name in here. So just to point that out. So notice my hand was still up. I'm just going to go back to it and just lower hand on that. I wasn't even paying attention that I forgot to take my hand down. So now I want to show you how you can share your screen, and that's just below here. So I'm going to hit share screen, and you're going to see a bunch of different options. The basic up here, you can see that there's screen share or screen 1 or 2. I have dual monitors here. Do I want to share this screen or this screen? You can see kind of the messy desktop. Do I want a whiteboard? So this is great. You can choose a whiteboard and be annotating, drawing on it, and then everybody will see that. I can share an iPhone, iPad. We could share a video. So maybe you have a YouTube video. So for an example, if I was going to share this YouTube video, I want to make sure I click share sound right there and optimize for video clip. You can go ahead and choose that. So if I was going to go and share this and select share, this comes up here. Now I can go ahead and play this video. I can maximize this video, and then this is what they're going to see, and I have to make sure I turn that on. Now up top here, I'm going to just go ahead and stop the share, and it goes back to this. So again, hit the share video, make sure you hit share sound, choose the window or application. Do I want to show this Microsoft Teams over here? You can check the other options too. We have advanced. Here we can do a PowerPoint as virtual background. We can do a portion of the screen, computer audio, video this way too, and content from a 2D camera. We can do also share of files through those same different ways that were in the chat, where we could bring them up and share them out. So sharing screen is made quite easy. It's good to practice with it too, to making sure, depending on your system setup, if you have dual monitor, just so you're prepared when you're teaching or giving that meeting, that you're not stalling, just to test everything out to make sure it's working. But once you select the correct window, just go ahead and hit share, just like that. So at this point, I want to show you the use of breakout rooms, which is right here. And remember the settings, you have to have that turned on for this to show up. I'm going to click on breakout rooms, and I get some options. How many breakout rooms do I need? Now don't worry, you can always create more, take them away too. I'm going to create just 2 breakout rooms. I'll leave it like that. Assign automatically, assign manually, let participants choose room. Now this depends on how your meeting or class you want it set up. I've been in all different types where we just put people out automatically, but maybe they need to be in grade level or department levels, and you can have that set up, or you can let them choose just by letting know what room is what. So if I go ahead, I'm going to go to assign manually here just for this example, and go create. You can see room 1, room 2 here. I can rename this. So maybe if this was in a business, if it was finance or marketing, I could rename that. Or if it was grade level, grade 1, grade 2, or whatever it might be that you want the different groups are. I'm not going to rename this. I can delete this. But at this point, I can assign people. So if I click assign, it shows me everybody that would be in this meeting or class. I can go and click, and then they're assigned to that room. And at this point, I can go and click this room. As soon as I hit open all rooms, what's going to happen though is that they are going to be asked, and it will say that they need to join. So they'll click join on their end, and then they'll go into those groups. So I'm going to go ahead and just open all the rooms, and then they're going to be invited to join. And I can also jump around to different by going to different groups. See, it says join. If I go join, I can go join this person or this person, but let's wait till they join the room. So at this point, if I look by this green dot right here, when the circle's green, I can see that these people are actually in their room. So these 2 people are in a room by themselves. If I go ahead and to go to thingy, I can hit join room 2, yes. And so it's putting me into this room. Then at that point, I can have that conversation with this breakout group. So it could be a number of different people. So I could hit leave room, and now at end meeting, no. Leave breakout room, yes. So I'll leave this breakout room. Then I go back to the main session. So I wait for that to pop open. Now if I click on breakout rooms again, you can see it pops open. And at this point, I can join a different one. So I could go ahead, hit join this one, and I can go to that one. I can actually move people from room to room. So if I take this, move to room 1, and now I have, I wait for that person to join, then they're in like that. So you can move people around when needed. The other thing I want to show that you can do, if I go over to share screen, just talking about how I just showed you this, but now notice that since I'm in breakout rooms, I have this option right here, share to breakout rooms. So I could share my screen to the breakout rooms, but I got to make sure I click this if I'm presenting, maybe when they're in groups and they're working, and then I can present to them. So that's a great option to have. So if this disappears, if you close it down, people are still in their breakout rooms, but I go ahead and click it and close all rooms. Then what will happen is you can see there's a countdown right here that will automatically close these rooms, and it will return them to the main room here, but they'll have something on their screen where they can leave faster than the 40 countdown right here. So then after, if people weren't watching that or still working, they'd wait to the end, then they would join back in the main session, and you can talk to everybody at once. So everybody's back in the main room now, and let's say this is our end of class or meeting. We can go ahead and hit end. And remember, if you're recording, this is when, or if you ever stopped it or paused it, when you end the meeting, that's when it's going to record the meeting. If it's a long meeting, sometimes it takes a little while for that to process. But you can go ahead and hit end like this, and then it would be done. So if I click end, you can see you could leave meeting if you were the host, or end meeting for all. So I've gone over the main points of here of helping you set up your, maybe your first host, you're hosting that meeting for Zoom, or maybe teaching that first class in Zoom. Hopefully this has helped you out. Let me know what else, what other things you're going to be wanting to know about Zoom or other online ways to teach or do meetings. Thanks for watching this time on Teacher's Tech. I'll see you next time with more tech tips and tutorials.